Joshua.
And Sean.
How are you?
Doing well. I'm doing good this morning. The sun's shining. It's a little chilly, but I'll take the sunshine. The last I heard, it's still supposed to snow in Erie, so that's fun. But you know what?
Literally just gonna try to sleep through it.
It is what it is. It is what it is, man. We have two choices, right? You take it and you look at all the negative side, or you just say it is what it is and you move on. So
I'm gonna take it and look at the negative side.
Okay. All right. So, guys, another extremely optimistic caffeinated Q&A. This is the show where we take your questions. So here's the big thing. If you're here, if you have questions about the organization, about communication, about marketing, advertising, creating content, social media, any of that stuff, throw it in the live chat and we will answer those questions. But since caffeine is in the name, first we're going to talk about my boring coffee again. But so I have the same Starbucks roast, but here's two things. One, based on a recommendation from my friend Max Weber, I ordered some Black Rifle coffee. So that should be here for next week's show. So I'll let you know how that is. And then the other thing is I need some recommendations on coffee, obviously. So if you guys have coffee that you like, especially local coffee, let me know. I would love to purchase some local coffee from someone. So I will take recommendations so I don't have this same boring Starbucks blonde roast, which is delicious, next week. So Sean, what do you have?
So I went to I'm consistent, I guess, in that it's just a cinnamon spice black tea. I don't remember what brand, but it's, same thing. It's normally how I start my morning, and why, change up a good thing.
Yeah. All right. So guys, we're super excited. This is another Unfiltered Friday, and we have an awesome guest with us today. We have Jen DeRose from Inner Balance Pilates. So there she is. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well as myself. I've got my puppy friend behind me and my little guy, my son, is over there. So that's just the way of life, right?
That's how it works today, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you have? What are you drinking this morning? Anything fun?
Oh, no, not really. I'm a black coffee person. So whatever coffee roast my husband chooses to purchase, I drink.
There you go. It works. It all works the same, right?
Yep.
All right. So we wanted to have you on the show. We have a mutual friend, Max Weber, and we've, of course, been familiar with your business, just being here in Erie. And we, again, on Fridays are trying to have local business owners on to talk about how they're handling everything. The way we look at this is we don't have all the answers. We know that. But we're looking at businesses that we think are handling things well and getting their perspective on it. So first, why don't you tell everybody a little bit, for anybody that doesn't know, a little bit about Inner Balance Pilates, what you do, and why someone should be interested in it.
Sure. So I opened Inner Balance Pilates in 2002 here in Erie. So it's been around for quite some time. And the business model was always meant to be an in-person, very personalized, small group or even one-to-one type environment. So what we offer is something different than a big box gym might offer. We offer specifically only Pilates training utilizing apparatus. So when people think of, the reformer or the springs and all of the very specific Pilates equipment, we have all of that within our studio spaces. We, for years, were not at all online. So we were just basically brick and mortar, working on the relationships personally within our studio spaces. Over the past couple of years, we've implemented quite a bit of software to allow more people to find us and make ease of bookings, things like that, a lot better for them. But most recently, as you know, COVID has changed everything for my industry. Yeah. We made a giant pivot. Literally the day after I closed, I called and started recording some videos to start creating our video on demand library. So now we offer some free classes, community classes on Facebook, just to sort of give back to the community. We're all in a difficult position. So we created a private group for that. And then we're teaching on multiple platforms virtually as well. We teach our one-on-ones, we teach our duets, our triples, and also our groups. So, I mean, that's about it. We have a lot of experience. We have a staff of 10, and we love bringing, our passion to others, and that's about it.
Sure. That's awesome. I love the quick movement where you recognize like we have to do something different. We can't just sit on our hands, and the fact that you said you started recording videos the next day, that's incredible. That's the kind that if small businesses are going to succeed, that's the mindset that they have to have, right? It's not even about the videos. It's about the mindset of saying, what can I do? I have to do something. I can't just sit here. That's awesome.
And I agree. And really, you also have to continue a relationship with your current clients. It isn't just about growth, but it's also for 2 months, you can't be absent from your clients' faces, from their inboxes, from, the relationship that you've built over the past 19 years, potentially. And I agree, people just need to not put their head in the sand. They need to say, okay, maybe this isn't what I thought I needed to do, but now's the time I have to do it.
Yeah. So that is a perfect segue to the next question I was going to ask you, where has your communication, I'm sure it has, with your customers changed through all of this? Because when you have a business where customers are walking in the door every day, how have you changed your communication with your customers?
So we've always been really big on communication within our studio when it comes to outside of the studio. Meaning, that's kind of confusing, but we have always used a text servicing marketing type thing, so we can have constant contact with our clients, whether it be promotions or payments due or whatever it might be. So we've always used that. And honestly, I just bumped up my email game 1,000,000%. I went to text a couple of years ago because people weren't opening emails, truly. But when you get to a text, if you have something more substantial you want to communicate out, text isn't necessarily the best. So I've really been able to connect the text to links, to emails, to landing pages, specifically guiding people to what I want them to see. And our clientele isn't necessarily super tech savvy, but they've really gotten a lot better at looking for the emails, responding to the emails, clicking the links, figuring those things out has gone very, very well for us. So again, text messages, emails, promotions, giveaways, free classes. We've done a whole lot of everything. I think my clients might even get a little bit annoyed sometimes, but I'm okay with that at the moment. So.
Well, I'm going to go off script here and ask you a different question, because this is something that has come up several times, and it sounds like you're communicating a lot with your customers. And so how are you thinking about it mindset wise? Because the question we get a lot is, can you over communicate? It comes up specifically with like posting on social media, but I think it's a more broad topic where how do you think about over communicating? Because you just said it, right? Like there's times where they might get annoyed. How do you process that, and how do you decide how frequently you're communicating with your customers?
Yeah, that's very interesting, because I think sometimes my viewpoint might be different than some other people's. I definitely think there's content overload going on at the moment, and has been for some time. And I know we talk about funneling and constant, and the more people see you, but you do have to, trust your gut a little bit too, and realize, you can't send the same type of communication out every day. It has to be a little bit different, and you have to think about even your daily communication as something marketing based. Like specifically, I'm going to start out this text saying free class, because I know someone specifically is going to want to look at that. But maybe at the bottom it says, by the way, we also are offering, our next thing. I don't necessarily have the answer to that. I just want to make sure I am doing something at least every day right now. I'm not sending out 5 things a day. But definitely I am out there doing something at least once a day on multiple platforms, because we all know not everybody's on Facebook, not everybody's on Instagram, not everyone checks their email, and not everyone likes text messages. So it's created a little bit more work for me at the moment, but it is working.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about leadership for a minute. So through all of this, I think this is really kind of forcing all of us to dive deeper into our leadership skill set. And how are you leading your team and or your clients through this as well? I think you said you have a team of 10. So how are you leading them through what is still a lot of uncertainty?
I have maybe a different situation than a lot of people, because our industry mostly is built on independent contractors. So a lot of the people that work within my studio, this is their side gig, this is their part-time. I do have a few that it's the bulk of their work. So it's been a little bit challenging to keep the team cohesive in some ways because everyone's got their own little situation going on. But what we've been able to do is do at least every other week we meet on a Zoom, just a fun one. And within the fun one, I might bring up some things that I've wanted to communicate. We've done one-on-ones through phone call, not anything but phone call. Just I did a donation class just so that they know I'm thinking of them. I try to communicate everything that I'm doing is not just for me. Everything I'm doing is to be able to continue to provide the work that they rely on. And so I think just as I communicate with the clients, I communicate with my team. They're people, they're family at this point in our, we really are close. And coming out of this, I already knew that a couple of team members were moving on to do other things. So it's a transitionary time. I don't know what it's going to look like going forward. I know we won't have 10, but that's okay with me. I don't know when we can open. That's a difficult thing too, to communicate with your clients and your staff when you say, this is what I'm doing, but I can't really make that decision because I might find out in a week we can open or vice versa. I don't want to have all my clients over prepare and buy things that are only in studio services if it's going to be 6 months. I think, again, trusting gut, listening to what the governor's saying, listening to what, the vibe might be throughout the nation is important when you communicate things. You don't want to make a rash decision. I don't know. I'm just big on not over selling right now.
Yeah. But I love that the consistent theme through here is communicating. Even communicating uncertainty is still better than not communicating at all. So
agreed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So final question for you before we jump in and take questions from other people. What are you doing now to prepare for when the ban is lifted? Again, not knowing when that might be, but we talked about other services that you've added and things like that, but how are you preparing for that day when they say, okay, you can go open your doors again and have people back inside? What does that look like in your mind?
Okay, so other than the fact that we're going to continue building these other things, like you said, we've already built the new services, things like that. I'm currently selling bundling of equipment that are going to be required now going into studio. So personal items like you're going to need your own mat, you're going to need your own socks, you're going to need your own reformer straps, things like that. Getting the clients ready for the changes that might be occurring, number one, in studio, but at the same time, suggesting they get these personal items, these at-home pieces of equipment so that they can then also, even when we're in studio, still do the outside of studio things. Just trying to, how can I marry these two things together for our future as IBP? And beyond that, I'm preparing my studio. I already have everything I need to open. So all of the guidelines that, the health department or the CDC has deemed necessary are ready to go. I don't know. I just felt like I'm going to over prepare for that type of thing so that when they say yes, I'm able to just open the door. We've adjusted our class sizes. So basically we never had any more than 6 people in a group at a time, but even at 6, we're going to have to reduce to 3. And so I've already been able to determine how we break up our group classes, how we break up privates and semi-privates, how we can adjust within the studio spaces to make it all work. So there's been some internal logistics and some logistics that are new to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of great things to prepare everyone, yourself, your team, your clients moving forward. And that's so critical in these uncertain times. So kudos to you. Sean's going to join us again, and we're going to see if we have any questions. And if not, we have some that had come in previously. So we'll get your insight and opinion on those as well.
Okay.
Hello. So no questions from Facebook yet, but we do have a few more questions. I think this is one that a lot of people that we talk to, and this is even without the pandemic, come to us and say things like, I have a lot of good ideas on how to serve my clients, but I'm not really sure where to start with really anything. It's one of those things where it's like, analysis paralysis. I just have so much going on. I don't do anything. So can you speak to that at all? What would you recommend to the business owner who's there right now?
Okay, so I tend to geek out a little bit on ideas and testing and learning. And so I just start anything and anywhere. So if I find out, okay, here's this communication tool, right? So I just start trying it. And within that process of trying, you do learn more, and then you say, oh, well, this could actually work, or this is not going to work. So I don't know. I think people just need to take a step forward, and it's okay to fail at something. I think people get paralyzed more by thinking this has to work, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to look like a failure. No, if I told you how many people told me not to sell or not to allow free classes right now, you never give your services away. And so I said to myself, you know what? This is the time to give your services away when you can't provide what you used to provide, and keep yourself relevant and be able to give back and that type of thing. So I guess just the advice, again, to go back to the question, is you just have to try. I mean, um, it's difficult without seeing someone's actual ideas, and with, to be able to give them proper advice. I wouldn't say spend $10,000 right now on, I don't know, some sort of campaign that's not targeted. I might say, hey, start a private Facebook group. It doesn't cost you any money, and you can start filtering in a new audience. It just kind of depends.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it's you hit on something that's so important. Is a lot of times when we have some big grandiose idea, we immediately say, I'm going to go spend a bunch of money to implement that. There are always ways to get started cheaper and smaller to test the idea before you just jump in and spend a bunch of money and realize that what you thought was the greatest idea that the world has ever heard, you're the only one that's interested in it. And I can speak from experience on that and say that I've started plenty of things, and my wife would agree, where I started, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And then everybody else is like, nope, not amazing at all, actually. And it's just that being able to we live in a world where you can test ideas in so many different free ways today, that it's, testing ideas is critical, and everybody's afraid because nobody says I love to fail. Well, a few people do, but most people do not love the feeling of failing, and so that holds so many people back. I'm going to tell you one really quick story. So Henry Ford, that everyone knows, started the assembly line. Everybody in the world knows his name, but what most people don't know is that he actually went out and borrowed a bunch of money from investors because he had this idea about creating an automobile, and he lost all of their money, all of it. Went back and said, I don't have a dime to give you back. Then he did it again. He went and borrowed money again, and he went completely broke again. And the third time is now the story that everyone hears. And it's like, if he wasn't willing to fail those first two times, you never, ever, ever hear his name today, right? But like everybody that you hear of, everybody's name that that you see them doing amazing things, guess what? They did something where they failed miserably prior to that. And that pushing through that failure and the lessons they learned through it is what led them to be in a place today where you know who they are and what they do.
Yeah. And just, this is not about Henry Ford. I love that story, truly. I think, especially in a time like this where some of us our businesses as we knew them are not going to be any longer, so you have to remember, whatever you've got up in your brain and your heart, you can take on, even if your past has failed. But one of the other things, I guess, if I was to give anyone advice, and I'm big on talking about this, there are people out there willing to help, right? So I think if you're willing to ask, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to give you advice or help you through a process. I ask. On one of the platforms I'm on right now came out of nothing. I literally asked someone I admire in my industry what she's using, and she fast-tracked me on just because I asked. Had I been intimidated, say, oh, she'll never respond to me, that wouldn't have happened. So I have people I take advice from younger than me. We all know this, right? Max is probably on here. I take advice from people older than me. I take advice from people who are peers, on the same level. I hope that people realize, I love giving free advice. I like to help people, that there's plenty of people out there that know more than we do and might be able to steer you in the right direction when it comes to ideas and software and platforms and tools and that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's so we have a question from Barb, and this is good. so for Jen, where do you get your information? What are your best resources for what you need to know?
Okay, so is she? I guess is she? Maybe she's talking about where do I go for information for? I guess my what I did or what I do. For me, I keep my finger on the pulse consistently with all current businesses online mostly. Because I do run my in-studio business a lot differently than a lot of local businesses are run. So I look at who's the best in my industry. What are they doing? What do I like about what they do? What can I do? Because I don't have a team of 500. But how can I scale down what they're doing and provide something really amazing to my clients? So basically a lot of research, Barb, like market research, asking questions, asking people within my industry what they're doing, what has worked, what hasn't worked. And what were my best resources for what I needed to know. Barb, it's just been truly 3 years of me building a different business that almost got me to the position of pivoting quicker. So I had some of you know, I had started going off into a little bit of a coaching realm, right? So helping industry specific people with their startups, not necessarily startups, but I like 3 to 5 year old businesses, ones that are ready to grow a little bit. And so I had already started building a little bit of this online platform behind the scenes, and all of the technology I was building was able to be applied to the studio change.
What about, can you speak to like, COVID-19 specifically, and, are you staying attuned to like the governor, or like what kind of,
okay,
reopen or
gotcha,
those kinds of things as well?
Right. So I'm very involved with Athena Erie. I was an Athena PowerLink recipient 3 years ago, and I currently am a panel coordinator, and I'm also facilitating Advanced Athena. So I'm lucky in that sense, because we started a meeting every Monday right after COVID hit, where I've organized it with Linda Stevenson, where we get at least 4 experts on that related to the topics that this group of women, business owning women, need. And so that's been invaluable. I will say that, through help with the PPP and the EIDL and filtering the information and what do we actually need physically within our studio spaces. So I think it is important. I benefit from being a part of that organization, but I know I'm not alone. So if you're looking for something industry specific, what do I actually need to open my business? I always say go to, like, do you have a national certifying body? Do you have the top, who regulates your industry? Generally, you'll be able to find that information. I know hair salons are in the same boat as I am, and I know that they have very powerful organizations within their industry. So I know that they're able to get a lot of information that way.
Yeah, that's good. And so just to kind of clarify for anyone who may not know, Athena is like a women's leadership group.
What is it?
Correct?
Yeah, so Athena Erie is an organization that has different, I guess, tentacles, right? So it is basically a women's leadership program. So we go into schools sometimes, in colleges, and we have programs. We have programs specifically for women business owners. And then, like I said, just in general leadership for women. My main focus is with the PowerLink Women, which is one of the tentacles of women in business. So that's where most of my time is spent, which is why those meetings are so important. We don't bring in necessarily people from, the college programs or anything like that. It's specifically 50 women business owners right now with experts able to do Q&A and also just discuss what's going on.
Yeah, that's so cool. So I'm going to give you kind of a quick plug. You did a very, very nice TED Talk at Penn State Barron's, kind of around in this kind of subject matter. It was really good. So if you're watching, definitely check out Jen's TED Talk. You can find it on YouTube. We'll link to it in our show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. And I always forget to do this, so I'm going to say it now so Sean doesn't berate me too much when we get to the end of the call. But if you would like to get our email that comes out every Monday morning, you can go to ghostcreative.com/live. And we send out 1 email a week. You will get a link to this video as well as the one that we do on Tuesday, and you'll get kind of a heads up on what's coming next week, Tuesday and Friday. So I'm supposed to do that in the beginning of the show, but I forget just about every time. And even through Sean's reminders, I still forget. So there you go. You're welcome, Sean.
It's fine. It's job security for me, right? So before we kind of started our live today, we talked about how each of us kind of explores different tools, and I want to kind of come back to that. So both, I think Josh and Jen just speak to like, what tools do you use for creating content, and how do you explore, like, if a tool isn't working? We talked about like trial and error so far, but like, what tools have you found specifically that have worked well for different kinds of things, for creating content specifically?
Yeah, go ahead.
Me? Yep. So as for creating content, so this is my favorite thing to do, right? This testing thing. We use a program for our tech system called Scipio. So I am plugging this company. It's a monthly fee, but it comes through like a regular telephone number. It doesn't look like one of those spammy codes that comes through on your phone. And it's an app, right? So it's not through your phone system at all. You could do it from your desktop. You could do it from your phone. And we found just it increased the ability for 5 people to respond to things versus 1, and be able to communicate out with our clients so much better. That one I just happened upon because I saw I had gotten some messages like, how are you guys doing this? That kind of thing. So that's one that I love. As for the content creation, everyone uses MailChimp, which, okay, not everybody, but a lot of people use MailChimp, and I use MailChimp as well. But I was able to find a smaller company called Flowdesk, which their branding is more my style. And so they have a lot of templates that I don't have to do anything. And I'm sure I have clients on here, but literally the email's written for you. It looks beautiful. You're taking like their signature out and putting your own on. You're personalizing little bits and pieces of it. And I still need to use MailChimp for my landing pages and things like that. But its impact for me is far better than the things I was creating on MailChimp. I'm trying to think of what other tools. I mean, we use a lot of software. I wish I could get everything in one place, but there's not. It's just not possible. You guys talked a little bit about Zoom versus what you use and lives, and we do a lot of Zoom. All of our virtual classes, whether they're on platform A, B, or C, are all using Zoom technology. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the video streaming. So this platform that we stream through now is called StreamYard. We actually found that, again, Max asked me if I was familiar with it because Gary Vaynerchuk, who's really big in the marketing space, is using it for his live shows. And so we checked it out and we like it. We've had a few, as you saw last week, and I think maybe this week, I'm not certain, but the video quality the last weeks has been not that great. And I don't know whether that's just a matter of the fact of everyone being on the internet now, everyone's home, or if it's an issue with the platform. But we love the platform overall. So we use that. We use Zoom as well for our client calls and things like that. In terms of content creation, just on a day-to-day basis, Canva is an absolutely fantastic tool. I am not a graphic designer. And so Canva, yeah, C-A-N-V-A.
You were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you said Canada. I was like, Canada.
I'm sure Canada is great as well. But so Canva is fantastic because it has tons and tons and tons of templates for you. So if you want to create a Facebook post, you just say Facebook post, it makes it the right size. There's tons of templates to choose from. And same thing, you can change the content on it. And it really helps you to keep consistent branding because you can create a template one time and then reuse it and alter it a little bit. So that is the tool that we probably use more than anything for content creation. And the other thing that's just dramatically underutilized is everything that your phone can do. Right. So everything does not have to be overproduced. It doesn't have to be, like super, super fancy. It's the content that matters more than anything. So grab your phone, put it on a desk, talk to it and tell us what you are, who you are and what you believe. And that is also great content. So you literally can create the content that your people need to hear by just having a phone. That's it. That's all you actually need.
I agree. All of my content's created with my iPhone. So I have the apps I love. One is Spark Post. One is, Spark Camera. Everything. All my videos are shot with my phone. So you're exactly right. Canva's great too. It is great. So
yeah. Yeah, our phones, like the camera in your phone is better than a high-end camera from 6 years ago. So
Yeah.
like it's just, if you're not using your phone to create content, it's because you're afraid of creating content, not because you don't have the right tools. Can we just agree on that?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else, Sean, that we use? Oh, email. You talked about email. We use Klaviyo.
Oh yeah.
We just started using it. Again, Max is going to get tired of hearing his name when he listens to this, but Max recommended Klaviyo as something that we talked about a decent amount. We were using MailChimp, and we switched over just recently to Klaviyo. So we're trying that out to see how it works. Again, testing, right? We're giving it a shot and seeing how it works. But so far, it's been a good experience.
I'll have to check it out. I'm always looking for an alternative to MailChimp. It does everything, but it does more than I need to as well. So.
Right. Yep. Awesome.
All right. Yeah.
So is there anything else, Sean?
No, I think that kind of brings us to the end of our time together.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Well, I hope you guys found this valuable. I know I did. Every time we talk to another business owner, we, find out about new tools. We find out about, the way I'm fascinated by the way business owners think about stuff, because I truly think that small business owners, they just have a different mindset about, how to go about conquering problems. And so I'm always fascinated to dig into mindset and how people are thinking about solving the problems. And Jen, some of the stuff that you've talked about, I'm going to go back and I don't often go back and watch our videos. But when we have guests on, I do, because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much valuable information there. So thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. I really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me. This was great. I also enjoy talking to any entrepreneur. And I learn from these types of situations all the time as well. So now I'm going to go check out your MailChimp alternative.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you again so much for joining us. This is Caffeinated Q&A. You can go to ghostcreative.com/live, sign up for the email. We won't bombard you. It's once a week on Monday. You'll get the links to the previous week's videos. You'll get heads up of what's coming that week. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.